Every morning before the world makes its demands on you, before the news, the noise, or the schedules, you are handed something far more powerful than time itself. You are handed your mind, and how you train it, direct it, and speak to it in the early moments of each day will determine whether you drift or steer. Success is not some mysterious force reserved for the gifted or the lucky. It is the predictable result of mental conditioning. The world does not shape your mind. Your mind shapes the world you walk through. And today we begin with this truth. You are always becoming something. The only question is, what have you decided to become? Now, before we go deeper, I'd like to ask you something simple but important. If you find value in the ideas you'll hear today, I invite you to support this journey. Like this message, subscribe, and pass it along. Not because I said so, but because the world needs more people who are awake, people who are building themselves on purpose. And if these words speak to you, then make this part of your morning habit. We become what we repeat. So let's repeat things worth becoming. Most people begin the day in reaction. They check their phone, they read headlines written to provoke fear. They scroll through the lives of others and call it inspiration. But not you. From this day forward, you begin your day with intention. You speak to your mind before anyone else does. You declare who you are and what you stand for before the world has the chance to define it for you. If you don't feed your mind, the world will feed it confusion. So each morning you must be deliberate. You must say, "This is who I am. This is where I am going. This is what I will do today." And it begins with this single unshakable belief. I become what I think about. This is not poetry, this is law. The great law of the mind is this. What you think about consistently, you become. That is not a metaphor, it is physics. Plant success in your mind, and your actions, your decisions, your habits will begin to align with that success. Plant confusion, hesitation, and doubt, and those two will take root and grow. The mind does not care what you plant. It will return what you sow, every single time. And so each morning you must begin by planting the right seed. You must speak words that guide your thoughts and make them fertile. You must feed the soil of your consciousness before anything else gets to it. And what do we plant? We plant vision. We plant belief. We plant clarity and gratitude and direction. When you wake up, you do not simply rise from your bed. You rise into your identity. You do not just prepare for the day. You declare it. Say to yourself, I know who I am. I know what I'm building. I am one with purpose. I am one with peace. I am free from confusion. This is not wishful thinking. This is mental discipline. And without it, no amount of talent or opportunity will help you. The man who trains his mind wins long before the world ever notices his results. Every person you admire has learned this in one way or another. They understand that the morning is not just a time of day. It is a portal, a sacred gate between your subconscious and your waking life. What you affirm in that quiet space will echo into your decisions, your emotions, your habits. So do not waste it. If you start with fear, you will carry hesitation into every conversation. If you start with weakness, you will doubt your strength before the first obstacle. But if you start with power, if you feed your mind words of clarity, boldness, and faith, you will walk into the world like a man already victorious. Your environment is not responsible for your future. Your habits are. And your habits are nothing more than the repeated expression of your thoughts. That is why the morning is sacred. It is the birthplace of habit. Speak the same empowering words to yourself each day, and you will change not just your mood, but your destiny. The results are not immediate, but they are certain. You may not see change on day 3, but stay the course. You're not planting weeds, you're planting oaks. And the man who plants oaks knows that patience is not delay. It is faith in the unseen. And so I challenge you, for the next 30 days, say this to yourself each morning. Not casually, but with full belief. I am one with wealth and wisdom, free of fear and doubts. I walk with purpose. I build with vision. I attract solutions. I serve with power. I live today as a success because I am becoming one. These are not empty affirmations. These are instructions to your subconscious. And your subconscious, when fed repetition with emotion, begins to alter your behavior. It guides your energy. It filters your focus. And soon, you won't have to try to be the person you described. You'll become him by force of thought. Now I want you to write that down. Not tomorrow. Today. Write it, speak it, repeat it, carry it in your pocket, look at it while you eat, say it before you sleep. Keep your mind on the rails of purpose, or it will derail you. And if it helps, share your declaration below. Declare your law. Let your words echo in public, as they already do in private. If it feels bold, that's a good sign. Boldness is the price of self-respect, and you are no longer here to live by accident. So we begin. You don't need perfect circumstances. You don't need approval. You don't need more time. You need one decision. One commitment to rise above the noise and speak to your mind each morning as if it mattered. Because it does. Say it aloud. Breathe it in. Let it mark the start of your new identity. This is the foundation. This is the seed. And tomorrow we water it again, until thought becomes truth, until belief becomes behavior, until the mind is trained and the life is transformed. Most people go their entire lives without realizing they are training their minds every single day, whether they mean to or not. The tragedy is most of that training is accidental. It's driven by television, by anxiety, by gossip, by distraction. But the mind, whether trained by design or by default, will always follow orders. And that is why the people who live extraordinary lives are not always the most talented or lucky, but the most intentional. They direct their thinking before the world directs it for them. They do not hope for success. They build the framework for it, thought by thought, morning after morning. And once you truly understand this, your mornings stop being a routine and start becoming a launch pad. Let's look at what makes the morning so powerful. The early hours are when the world is still quiet. Your mind is at its most impressionable. It hasn't yet been shaped by the stress of traffic, by the clutter of opinions, by the emails or the headlines. It is raw, fresh, malleable. And in that sacred window you hold the chisel. You shape the image of who you will be for the rest of the day. This is not about motivation. Motivation fades. This is about design. When a man wakes up and immediately floods his consciousness with precision, with clarity, with power, he becomes a conductor, not a passenger. He doesn't ask the world, what should I be today? He declares it. The strongest way to use your morning is to reprogram the belief system that drives your identity. Because it's not just what you think that shapes your life, it's what you believe about yourself that filters everything. And here's the quiet truth. Most people have been living for years under someone else's definition of who they are. They were told they were average. They were told they were too emotional. They were told they were not enough. And without meaning to, they accepted it. But starting today, you are the author. You are the architect. You are no longer simply reacting to the identity others projected on you. You are defining it yourself. Now I want you to understand something critical. You cannot rise above your own self-image. No matter how much you want to achieve, if you believe you're not the type of person who succeeds, you will sabotage every opportunity that comes your way. That's not a flaw. That's law. The law of identity states you will never act consistently in a way that is out of alignment with who you believe you are. So if you want different results, you must install a new belief about yourself. That is why this morning ritual is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is the daily declaration of a new identity. And identity is the engine of all behavior. So how do we do it? We start by stating clearly, this is who I am becoming. We do not say, I hope to be disciplined. We say, I am disciplined. We do not say, one day I'll be successful. We say, I am success in motion. Because the mind obeys present tense declarations. It is not moved by maybe or someday. It moves in response to certainty. That is why every great leader, every high performer, every titan of industry begins their day not in passivity, but in command. They remind their subconscious who's in charge. They speak their destiny before it appears. And slowly but surely, the world begins to reflect it. Think about a ship. If the captain does not set a course before leaving port, the sea will decide for him. Winds, tides, and storms will push him in every direction. And when he finally looks up, he'll realize he's nowhere near the destination he once imagined. That's how most people live. They have vague desires, but no daily declarations. They drift instead of steer. But when the captain sets his course, even if the sea rises against him, he adjusts. He doesn't abandon the voyage. You are the captain of your consciousness, and if you steer each morning with clarity, you may encounter storms, but you will always make progress. So what should your morning declaration sound like? It must be personal, it must be powerful, and it must be precise. Don't speak to your mind in vague platitudes. Speak in commanding truth. I am building wealth because I am disciplined and focused. I am building peace because I control my thoughts. I am building strength because I do not break when it gets hard. I am worthy, I am wise, I am willing. These are not affirmations for the sake of emotion. They are mental nutrition. And just like the body responds to what you feed it, so too does the mind. Give it weak food and it will produce weak outcomes. Feed it power and it will carry you to heights you never imagined. One of the most important shifts you can make is to stop waiting for proof and start becoming the proof. Most people say, I'll believe it when I see it. But the mind operates on the opposite law. You will see it when you believe it. That is not mysticism, it is neuroscience. Your belief filters your attention, your perception, your decisions. So when you say each morning, I believe in who I am becoming, you are not lying to yourself. You are leading yourself. The old self may resist. That's normal. The mind clings to its patterns, but repetition, spoken with emotion, rewires it. And the day you believe more in your vision than your fear, the transformation becomes unstoppable. Let's make today's law clear. Your identity determines your altitude. To rise, you must rewire what you believe about who you are. Say it with me. Better yet, write it below. Let it be public. Let it be loud. Declare it not for approval, but for commitment. I am rising. I am a builder of my future. My mind follows my voice. This is not theater. This is blueprint. This is the voice of the 5%. The voice of those who train their minds before the world trains them into confusion. And if you say it long enough, loud enough, clear enough, the world will eventually echo it back. You do not need permission to transform. You only need consistency. The mind is a creature of habit, and once it accepts a new pattern, it defends it with power. But you must give it the pattern. So tomorrow, and the next day, and the next, you speak your identity before the world has the chance. This is your secret weapon. This is your edge. Most men wake up into passivity. You will wake up into power. You are no longer waiting for success to arrive. You are becoming success, one declaration at a time, one belief at a time, one morning at a time. The moment you wake up, your mind is listening. Before your feet touch the floor, before you open your phone, before the world has a chance to interrupt, your subconscious is standing by, ready to receive instructions. And if you don't give it a clear order, it will replay yesterday's script. That script might be full of stress, fear, doubt, or hesitation. And if that's what runs your day, it's not because you chose it, it's because you allowed it. The key to changing your life is understanding this. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your patterns. And your morning is where those patterns begin. Every day you rise without intention, you reinforce the old version of you. But every day you rise and declare who you are and where you are going, you begin to build a new pattern, a new path, and ultimately, a new destiny. The reason most people don't see progress is not because they're lazy. It's because they keep waking up with the same mindset that built their current life. You can't create a new reality with yesterday's thinking. You can't solve your problems with the same identity that allowed them to grow. And that's why the morning matters, because that is the only time of day you're free from external noise. It's the only time you haven't yet handed your attention to the world. It's the only time you can speak to your mind without competition. If you don't use that time to lead yourself, the world will lead you straight into distraction, confusion, and mediocrity. Now, what does it mean to train your mind? It means you no longer let thoughts wander aimlessly. It means you treat your thoughts the way a sculptor treats stone. You carve, you cut, you refine, you shape them into something useful. You don't leave your thoughts to randomness. You instruct them. And that instruction must begin with focus. Every day your mind will be tempted by 1,000 directions. But a successful life is not built by chasing everything. It is built by focusing on one thing at a time, with discipline and patience. So when you wake, you say, "Today I move forward on the things that matter. I ignore distraction. I reject confusion. I walk with focus." Focus is not just about eliminating distraction, it's about increasing alignment. And alignment happens when your thoughts, your words, and your actions all move in the same direction. That kind of focus creates power. Think of a magnifying glass. In the presence of sunlight, it can start a fire, not because it adds energy, but because it focuses. Your mind, too, is a lens. If scattered, it warms nothing. If focused, it can ignite change. But only if you aim it with purpose. And that's what your morning is for. Not just to repeat mantras, but to aim your mind like a laser toward what matters. Let's not pretend it's easy. You will be tempted. You will feel the pull of urgency, the addiction to reaction, the noise of modern life. But each time you choose to pause, breathe, and declare your focus, you take back control. And control compounds. The man who trains his mind to obey him in the morning will find it easier to master it in the heat of the day. He will no longer be swayed by other people's moods, deadlines, or energy. He will carry a center of gravity within him, a quiet force. That force begins with morning mastery. Let's get practical. Tomorrow morning, before anything else, I want you to say out loud, "Today I lead my mind. Today I create, not consume. I move with purpose. I speak with clarity. I act with intent." These are not hollow phrases. These are instructions. And the mind, when fed clearly, begins to operate with new standards. You'll notice your conversations change, your energy sharpens, your patience grows. Because focus, once trained, extends itself. The more you speak it, the more you live it. And the more you live it, the more success becomes your natural state. Not a pursuit, but a pattern. The average man lets his mind wander. The focused man lets it build. You are not here to wander. You are here to build. And that means you must hold your focus like a warrior holds his blade. Never careless, always ready, always aware that the moment you lose focus, you lose power. And that is why you must begin each day with this law. Wherever my focus goes, my future grows. Say it, speak it, write it below. Let it be your law today. Not because it sounds good, but because it is good. It's true. It's proven. Every achievement begins with sustained attention, and every downfall begins when attention is scattered. There is no such thing as wasted attention. Wherever you place it on gossip, on fear, on doubt, that thing will grow. So choose carefully, think carefully, train your mind to default to clarity. And clarity begins with conscious language. Stop saying, "I'm so overwhelmed." Start saying, "I'm choosing what to focus on." Stop saying, "There's too much to do." Start saying, "I do what matters, and I do it well." This shift in language creates a shift in emotion, and that emotional shift fuels action, and that action creates results. But it all begins in the mind. Train it every single day. Now write this down. Not someday, today. Where my focus goes, my future grows. Look at it when you wake up. Say it in the mirror. Share it below. Let others see the law you've chosen. Not for applause, but for accountability. These declarations are not performance. They are architecture. They are the blueprint of a mind being rebuilt with purpose. And every morning you repeat them, you drive the nails deeper into the foundation of your new life. So we build, one law at a time, one declaration at a time, one morning at a time. The world may still be chaotic, the news may still scream, the distractions may still knock. But your mind will be silent, strong, and focused. Because you trained it, because you spoke to it, because you fed it the law that produces success. Not by accident, but by design. There is a force more powerful than talent, more decisive than intelligence, more consistent than motivation. That force is discipline, and discipline begins not with action, but with mindset. The disciplined man is not someone who simply works harder. He is someone who has trained his thoughts to obey a higher standard. While others act according to how they feel, he acts according to what he decided. That decision begins every morning. You must not wait for inspiration. You must install instruction. The man who waits for the mood to strike will forever be a servant of his emotions. But the man who speaks discipline into his mind each morning will one day become a master of his fate. Discipline is freedom. Most people confuse freedom with comfort. They think that sleeping in, skipping tasks, or avoiding effort is freedom. But those choices produce chains. Chains of regret, of anxiety, of wasted time. True freedom is the ability to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. That is not just willpower. That is a trained mind. You don't get there by accident. You get there by rising each day and reminding yourself, I am not ruled by emotion. I am guided by principle. I do what matters because I said I would. Discipline does not remove emotion. It just refuses to worship it. The reason so many people fail to build discipline is because they treat it like a trait instead of a practice. They say, I'm just not disciplined. But discipline is not something you're born with. It is something you become. And the becoming begins with what you tell yourself when you wake up. If you say, I'm tired, maybe I'll start later, then later becomes never. If you say just one more hour of comfort, that comfort steals a day from your dream. But if you say, I begin now, no matter how I feel, something shifts. The body will protest. But the mind, when trained, will lead. And soon your feelings follow your decisions instead of dictating them. Now, what is the mental formula for discipline? It is simple, but rarely followed. First, you identify your non-negotiables. These are the few essential habits that move your life forward. Not everything, just the vital few. Then each morning you remind your mind that these actions are part of who you are. Not tasks on a list, but traits of your identity. This is where most people fail. They make discipline optional. You will not. You will say, this is who I am. I am a builder. I am a man of my word. I do what I said I would do. I move before I feel ready. I act without delay. These are not slogans. These are scripts. Install them into your mind until your behavior aligns. You must understand something important. Repetition is the doorway to identity. What you repeat with conviction becomes who you are. So each day, say it again. I rise early. I complete my essentials. I do not negotiate with my lesser self. I command my mind. I command my energy. It will feel awkward at first. That is normal. But the subconscious mind is always listening. And once it accepts the new standard, it begins to filter your attention, energy, and habits through that lens. And that's when you begin to change. Not because of pressure, but because of alignment. You begin to feel like the man you admire, because you are living like him. And let us not forget, discipline is not punishment. It is a declaration of self-respect. When you live with discipline, you say to the world, I matter. My goals matter. My time matters. My word matters. That kind of energy repels weakness. It builds momentum. It earns trust. Discipline attracts opportunities, not because of luck, but because others can sense consistency. People follow the man who leads himself. But before the world trusts you, you must show your mind it can trust you. That begins with daily acts of discipline. And those acts begin with morning decisions. Here is a truth worth engraving into your memory. Comfort is a drug. Discipline is the cure. And so I want you to write it down now, not later. Now, comfort is a drug. Discipline is the cure. Say it in the mirror tomorrow morning. Say it when you want to hit snooze. Say it when your lesser self whispers excuses. Speak it until it becomes louder than your doubt. And once it is loud enough, discipline becomes automatic. And what once felt hard will feel natural, because your identity has changed. Because your mind is no longer running old scripts. The difference between those who build and those who regret is not talent, it's training. You must train your thoughts the way a soldier trains with a weapon, not casually, but with purpose. Your morning declarations are not just motivation, they are mental armor. When you rise and say, "I act regardless of how I feel," you arm yourself against distraction. When you declare, "I finish what I start," you anchor your day in strength. And each time you follow through, even when it's hard, you gain more trust in yourself. And that trust is the fuel of confidence, not arrogance, earned confidence. Now write it, say it, share it. I do hard things. I am built by discipline. I finish what I start. Let it be the law that guides your mornings. Let it be the standard that sharpens your actions. Post it where you'll see it. Repeat it until your subconscious not only believes it, but demands it. This is not a trick. This is not hype. This is the ancient principle that every great man lived by. And now it is yours to live by too. So tomorrow when you wake, speak like a builder, think like a warrior, move like a man with vision. Don't wait to feel ready. Be ready. Decide, declare, do, and watch what happens when discipline becomes your default. There's a quiet truth about success that most never talk about. It's not flashy, it's not dramatic, but it separates the 5% from the 95. That truth is consistency. The ability to do what matters, not once, not twice, but every single day, even when it's boring, even when it's invisible, even when no one is watching. The world rewards consistency far more than intensity. Anyone can sprint for a day. Very few can show up for a year. And yet success does not yield to the most passionate. It yields to the most consistent. The men who win in life are not the ones who burn brightest, but the ones who burn steady. And that steady fire is built in the morning, one day at a time. The danger of inconsistency is subtle. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It whispers, take a break, skip today, you've done enough. And if you listen even once, you send a message to your mind that the standard is negotiable. But you must not allow that. You must tell your mind every morning, this is not optional. This is who I am. Because identity is shaped not by effort but by repetition. What you repeat becomes who you are. That's why every successful man guards his routines like a king guards his throne. It is not about perfection, it is about pattern. And the pattern must begin with your voice, speaking your law into existence before the day begins. So what stops people from being consistent? It's not laziness, it's emotion-based thinking. They let their moods dictate their movements. They say, I don't feel like it. And so they wait. But waiting for motivation is like waiting for the wind to blow in the perfect direction. It may come, it may not. But the man who is consistent does not wait. He creates wind. He moves anyway. And eventually the mood catches up to the motion. You must remind your mind of this law every morning. I move whether I feel like it or not. I act because it is time, not because it is easy. This is how you install consistency as your nature. Let's go deeper. Consistency is not just about showing up. It's about showing up the same way, with the same standard, with the same energy, with the same commitment. Each morning you're not just repeating a task, you're reinforcing an identity. When you say, I train today, I study today, I execute today, you are not checking a box. You are telling your mind, this is what I do, this is who I am. And the mind begins to believe it. Not after a week, but after enough repetition to override the old code. This is how you reprogram your subconscious. Not with one breakthrough, but with 1,000 quiet declarations. You'll notice something interesting. Once consistency becomes part of you, you begin to attract what once eluded you. Opportunities appear. People begin to trust you. Your skills sharpen. Not because of magic, but because of compound effect. Consistency compounds. One brick laid each day builds a fortress. One page read each day builds a library. One action taken each day builds a legacy. The mistake is thinking that big results require big actions. But the truth is, big results come from small actions repeated daily with devotion. Your mind needs to hear this every morning. What I do today matters more than what I did yesterday. Here's a pattern I want you to install. When you wake up, say, today I lay another brick. I don't need to finish, I only need to build. This removes the pressure of perfection and replaces it with the power of progress. You are not here to impress, you are here to construct. And you construct by showing up, clear, calm, consistent. When it's raining, you build. When you're tired, you build. When you're uninspired, you build anyway. This mindset removes the need for hype. It replaces emotion with motion. And when motion is maintained, emotion evolves. Let me give you the law for today. Consistency is the silent engine of greatness. I win because I refuse to stop. Speak it. Write it below. Let the world hear it. Let your subconscious internalize it. I win because I refuse to stop. Not because I'm perfect. Not because I'm always excited. But because I show up every single day. While others wait for perfect conditions, I create momentum. While others start and stall, I build with rhythm. And eventually that rhythm becomes reality. Understand this. The man who is consistent begins to expect success, not in arrogance, but in certainty. He knows that if he keeps showing up, the result must appear. That's not optimism, that's cause and effect. It's natural law. It's the harvest that follows daily planting. So while others are distracted by novelty, you stay loyal to your process. And in time, they will call you lucky. But you'll know the truth. You didn't get lucky. You got consistent. Now take this seriously. Consistency is not just about action. It's about integrity. It's the quiet agreement between you and yourself. When you show up each day, you tell yourself, I can trust you. That trust is priceless. It is the root of confidence, resilience, and self-respect. But it must be earned daily, and you earn it each morning when you declare, I am consistent, I am steady, I show up no matter what. So tomorrow morning, remind your mind. Say it out loud. Say it like you mean it. Say, I am built on consistency. I lay bricks daily. I win because I do not stop. Write it, live it. Let it shape your rhythm. And let your rhythm shape your results. There is a hidden power that very few harness, a power that amplifies every action, sharpens every thought, and fuels consistency with fire. That power is vision. A man with vision cannot be stopped for long. He may stumble, he may rest, but he never detours, because he knows where he is going. Vision is the ability to see your future clearly before the world sees it at all. It is the inner movie you play every morning, the image you project so vividly into your mind that your behavior begins to bend in its direction. And without vision, even the most talented man will wander. Without vision, effort becomes exhausting. But when you wake up each day and see the life you are building, the weight of discipline becomes the wings of purpose. Vision is not just what you want, it's what you decide to live for. It's the North Star. And in the fog of life where distractions and uncertainty threaten your focus, vision is the lighthouse. It cuts through the noise. It brings you back. Every morning you must revisit your vision, or risk drifting into routine without direction. That's why I say this. Don't just wake up. Rise into your future. Don't just check the clock. Check your compass. Ask yourself, what am I building? Who am I becoming? What must I see before I step into the day? Because without vision, you live in reaction. But with it, you move with prophecy. Let me be clear. Vision is not fantasy. Fantasy is passive. Vision is active. It's not about wishing. It's about seeing so clearly that your body begins to act in agreement. You may not know all the steps. That's fine. You only need to know the direction. And when that direction is repeated every morning with intention, you begin to train your subconscious to work on your behalf. This is how great architects build cities, how great leaders shape movements, how great men create legacies. They wake up each morning and speak their future into the present. They remind their mind of the end before the day even begins. The danger of not having a vision is subtle but deadly. It doesn't kill overnight. It robs you inch by inch. Without vision, you settle. You shrink to fit your surroundings. You confuse comfort with peace, and soon you're surviving instead of expanding. But the man with vision, he cannot be content with mere existence. He must build, he must expand. He must act in alignment with the image burned into his mind. That image becomes his filter, his fire, and his fuel. And every morning, it must be reignited. So I ask you now, what is your vision? Not the generic version, not the one others gave you. Your vision. What do you want to build with your life? What kind of man do you want to become? Where do you want to wake up 5 years from now? What will your days look like? What will your income be? What kind of peace will you carry? These are not casual questions. They are the foundation of power, and they must be answered, not someday, now. Because a vague vision leads to vague action, but a clear vision leads to focused movement. Tomorrow morning, before you touch your phone, close your eyes and see it. See the life that belongs to the future version of you. See the home, the work, the people you serve, the clarity, the discipline, the power. And once you see it, speak it. Say, this is where I'm going. This is who I'm becoming. Say it until the voice in your head stops arguing. Say it until your behavior starts bending. Say it until vision becomes your default. Because once it becomes natural to think like that, your decisions will begin to align, even when you're tired, even when it's hard. Let's make today's law plain and simple. A man with vision walks faster than those with sight. He doesn't need proof, his mind provides it. Say it with me, write it below. I am led by vision, not by noise. I see it clear. I build it daily. These are not affirmations, they are orders. Orders to your mind, to your decisions, to your behavior. The man who speaks like this each morning will not drift. He will not fold. He will not wonder where the time went, because he lives by a future he already owns in his mind. There will be days when the vision feels far. That's when most people quit. They stop seeing, they stop believing. And without belief, they stop moving. But you are not most people. You are the 5%. And the 5% guard their vision like treasure. They return to it when others forget. They rewatch it, reimagine it, refine it. And each time they do, their energy resets. Their clarity returns. And their consistency sharpens. This is how vision becomes reality. Through constant repetition, emotional connection, and relentless commitment. Now write your vision down, carry it, print it, read it, speak it. And if you've never written it, start today. Create a paragraph that describes the man you are becoming. Write as if it already exists, as if you are already living it. Then every morning, read it back to yourself with belief, with conviction, with clarity. The more you repeat it, the more your subconscious begins to operate in harmony with it. And when your subconscious and your actions are aligned, there is no force that can hold you back. So tomorrow morning, don't just wake up. Step into your vision. Say it out loud. Feel it in your body. Let it move through your voice. And remind your mind, I see the future. I walk toward it daily. I do not ask for proof. I create it. You are not a wanderer. You are a builder. And vision is your map. There is one more ingredient, one final force that when combined with focus, discipline, consistency, and vision, creates the kind of man others follow. That force is faith. Not blind hope. Not wishful thinking. But faith as an unshakable certainty that what you seek is already yours, if you do not stop moving. Faith is the ability to take action without needing to see the whole staircase. It is the quiet decision to show up before the reward arrives. And it must be spoken every morning, especially when you feel nothing. Because when the results are not yet visible, your words become your anchor. And without that anchor, you drift into doubt, delay, and decay. But the man who begins his day by saying, I believe, is the man who begins with power. Faith is not emotion. It's not a warm feeling. It is a choice, a mental posture, a spiritual commitment. It says, though I don't see it yet, I know it's coming, because I am becoming it. That kind of faith bends reality. It sharpens your attention. It magnetizes solutions. And most of all, it kills hesitation. Faith is the opposite of fear, not because fear disappears, but because faith moves anyway. You will never remove all fear, but you don't need to. You only need to believe more than you doubt, and each morning you must remind your mind, today I act in faith. Today I walk in the direction of what I desire, not in reaction to what I fear. Most people live in reverse. They wait for results to feel confident. They wait for evidence before they believe. But here is the truth. Belief precedes results, not the other way around. You must speak the identity before you see the success. You must walk like the man you wish to become before the world gives you the rewards. That's why we train the mind in the morning, because it's in those early moments that your internal script gets written. And if you do not write it with faith, doubt will write it for you. The world will not hand you clarity. You must speak it. And once spoken often enough, it becomes the new default. Understand this, every major breakthrough in your life will come after the moment you decide to trust something you cannot yet see. It will feel foolish. It will feel lonely. But that's where growth lives. That's where the 5% rise. And that's where you must live daily. This is not about fake positivity. It's about choosing a higher reality in your thoughts so that your actions can elevate to meet it. That is how you transcend your environment. That is how you move beyond circumstances. Faith says, what I see today is temporary. What I believe is permanent. And that belief drives action. So tomorrow, when your eyes open, speak like a builder with unshakable belief. Say, I do not need to see the finish line to take the next step. I move with confidence. I act with trust. I plant with certainty. I build in faith. These are not hollow affirmations. These are commands. You are ordering your subconscious to align with courage, and courage is not the absence of fear. It is movement in the presence of it. Speak this enough times and fear loses its grip, not because it disappears, but because you no longer obey it. Let me give you the law for today. Faith is the bridge between thought and reality. I cross that bridge daily. Say it. Write it below, post it, breathe it. I walk in faith, I cross the bridge. I act as if it is already done. This law is not philosophical, it's practical. It affects how you show up in your business, your relationships, your health. A man who acts in faith carries a different posture. He's less desperate, more focused, less reactive, more steady, less attached, more aligned. Because he knows the outcome is certain, if the commitment is kept. You see, doubt is a thief. It doesn't rob you quickly, it robs you slowly. A little hesitation here, a little overthinking there, a pause that turns into a pattern. But faith is a multiplier. When you speak it daily, it compounds. It fills the cracks that fear tries to slip through. It trains your body to act before the mind has a chance to retreat. And when that becomes your pattern, you begin to create at a level others can't understand. They'll call you lucky. They'll say you have something different. But you'll know the truth. You trained your mind to believe. And that training must happen each day, because the world is loud, doubt is sneaky, and fear is always waiting for a weak moment. But you wake up each day and armor your thoughts. You speak your future, you declare your certainty. You refuse to wait for guarantees because you already know. You are walking with a vision the world hasn't seen yet. But you've seen it. You've spoken it. And now you are building it, one brick of belief at a time. Now write it down, say it, declare it with force. I move with certainty. I build with belief. I do not hesitate. I do not wait. Let it echo through your mind. Let it fill the first moments of every day. When others hit snooze, you speak your future. When others hesitate, you step forward. Because you are no longer hoping. You are walking. You are no longer wondering. You are declaring. This is the way of the 5%. The builders. The ones who speak what is unseen until it becomes undeniable. So tomorrow, wake with faith. Let your words lead. Let your movement follow. And let the world adjust to the power of a man who no longer needs permission to believe. There is one final principle that seals the foundation of a trained mind, and that is service. It may surprise you. After all, we've spoken much about vision, discipline, consistency, faith, but make no mistake, without service, success is hollow. Because the man who trains his mind only for himself will grow. Yes, but the man who trains his mind to serve will rise, endure, and expand beyond measure. The moment your purpose includes others, your power multiplies. This is the secret of the 5%. They don't just build for applause, they build for impact. They know that to live fully is to give deeply. And when you speak this truth each morning, you don't just become productive, you become necessary. Service is not slavery. It is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength. When you serve with intent, with excellence, and with love, you carve your place in the world that no one else can fill. And that begins with a simple morning recognition. I am here to contribute. This mindset pulls you out of selfishness. It dissolves anxiety. It replaces self-doubt with self-direction. Because when your goal is to serve, you stop asking, am I good enough? And you start asking, who needs what I have? That shift changes everything. Your posture, your energy, your focus, it all lifts. Because now, it's not about being seen, it's about showing up where you're needed. Many people chase success thinking it's about accumulation. More money, more status, more validation. But true fulfillment doesn't come from what you get. It comes from what you give. The wealthiest men on earth are not just those with money in the bank. They're those whose presence makes people better. And that is the kind of success you are training for. The kind that outlasts trends. The kind that brings peace. The kind that builds a name worth remembering. But to access it, your mornings must begin with this truth. Today I make someone else's life better. Through my work, my presence, my words, or my example. That's how you create real value. Not by being loud, but by being useful. Not by impressing people, but by uplifting them. And the beautiful thing is, this doesn't require more energy, it just requires a shift in intention. When you wake up and ask, how can I serve today? Your brain begins to search for ways to contribute. You become more thoughtful. You listen more closely. You move with meaning. And strangely enough, in the process of lifting others, you are lifted. Because fulfillment is not a reward, it's a consequence of contribution. Let me be very clear. Service is not weakness. It is leadership. The greatest leaders in history understood this. They didn't dominate through fear. They inspired through service. And you must do the same. You are not just training your mind to win. You are training your mind to help others win. That is how your legacy begins. Each morning remind yourself, I am not here just to succeed, I am here to serve. And in my service I will succeed. These words do not make you small, they make you unstoppable. Because when you work for something bigger than you, you tap into something stronger than you. Let's engrave today's law into our minds. My success is a reflection of my service. I rise by lifting others. Say it now. Write it below. Let it be your anchor. I rise by lifting others. I am here to serve with power. These are not sentimental phrases. They are power principles. And when you live by them, you walk through the world with calm authority. People feel it. They respond. Because nothing is more magnetic than a person who moves with purpose, and whose purpose includes more than just himself. So tomorrow, before you do anything else, ask, who can I help today? Maybe it's a client. Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's a stranger. Maybe it's your future self. Service doesn't always mean grand gestures. Sometimes it's focus. Sometimes it's patience. Sometimes it's just doing the hard thing without complaining. But always, always it begins in the mind. And if you begin the day with the intention to serve, you will find the opportunities, the strength, and the peace you're looking for. And remember this, money is a byproduct. Status is a byproduct. All the things you desire will come if you make yourself valuable, and you become valuable through service. The man who gives more earns more. The man who contributes more receives more. Not always instantly, but always eventually. This is not opinion. This is law. The law of sowing and reaping. The law of cause and effect. What you give must return. So give with strength. Give with clarity. Give with purpose. And let the returns take care of themselves. Now, as we conclude this series, carry these truths forward. Your morning is your weapon. Your voice is your steering wheel. Your thoughts are your building blocks. And your service is your legacy. Train your mind before the world trains it for you. Speak your identity before fear does it for you. Declare your law before circumstance defines it for you. You are not here to drift. You are here to build. You are not here to survive. You are here to impact. And every morning, you are handed the tools to do exactly that. If these messages have stirred something in you, let others know. Comment your commitment. Share your declaration. Like, subscribe, pass it forward. Not because of me, but because someone else needs this fire. Someone else is searching. Let them find this. Let them find you. A man on purpose. A mind on fire. A life built not by accident, but by design.